You need to pull it up?
Oh, yeah.
You got a handle? No?
I got to do stuff.
Welcome into Sports Around the Bar. As always, I am Jake, your bartender, and I'm joined on center stool by my co-host, Drew. And if you can't tell, piece of my soul's been ripped out since the last time we talked. It's been a rough couple days, Drew. Rough couple days.
A piece of your soul has been ripped out.
This is supposed to be the fairy tale ending, but instead, I get hit with a horror movie.
And in the credits, it was not the actor you thought it was.
There wasn't even a to be continued because all the Titans are like, I'm off this team now. So that's cool. Can't wait for that here in the coming days, just the fallout of all that. But welcome in, guys. We got a lot to talk about. As always, we're going to talk about how the Titans could not get the job done in Kansas City, as well as, do you want to call it an implosion? Because Green Bay didn't look that bad at times in that game, but man, it was 27-0. Yeah. Pretty much when Devontae Adams woke up.
I'm like in the fourth quarter.
And if you just look at the stats, it's like 31 for 39 for Rodgers, almost 400 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, a fumble in there too. He actually put the ball on the ground 3 times, so maybe not that good, but 31-39 looks pretty good. Man, it's just...
Hey, Michael, how's it going? Cherie says, go Chiefs Super Bowl. She's stoked.
All right, pretty sure she was just telling me upstairs how they're not going to win it, but... we appreciate that anyway.
That is my wife, and she did not say that. She was like, the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl.
I must have misheard. All right.
Yeah, you misunderstood.
All right.
Michael Wilborn, sorry. Good to see you, man. He says, I told you.
He did. But, man, I just didn't want to believe you. Just didn't want to believe it, Michael. You did tell me, though. And to be fair, I think he's called the Titans right every week that we've had it. I think he called them twice, and then he said they were going to lose to the Chiefs, so... props to you, man. You've been on top of the ball. I remember, even if Drew doesn't. I remember. And he also says, Super Bowl bound. He's in the same kind of joyous spot as you.
That's Michael Smith.
That is Michael Smith. Wait, then who am I even talking to anymore? That was Michael Smith who called it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's why I was like...
But I think Michael Wilborn probably told me to. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
No, he definitely told you. He said the Chiefs are the most complete team in the NFL.
And Justin, just like me, says the delusion is over. He was just trying to be positive and hoped they would have any magic left. He said he's on your side, Drew. Go Chiefs. Now that the 49ers have thoroughly demolished his hopes, the same way my hopes were demolished on Sunday as well.
Cherie says, take that nasty Titans can down. We can't.
Got to talk about him today.
We'll
retire him here in a minute.
It's not nasty. It's baby blue. Everyone likes baby blue.
Everyone does. Two-tone.
No one likes two-tone.
Well, it's actually not two-tone blue. There's only one color of blue on there, but hey.
There's navy blue and there's baby blue.
Yeah, but there's like one little tiny patch in the inside of the logo. The regular can is just... we're not arguing about this. We got a lot more stuff to argue about. And if it goes anything like it did pre-show, we're going to be at it for a while. So I'm just going to try to rest my voice.
Well, good to see you. Niners are going to be making Mahomes sandwich in 2 weeks. Yeah, just probably will be.
And Jacob can't wait for the commercials.
Yeah. Will, you're probably right.
That's about all I'm watching it for at this point.
The way the offensive line played against the Titans, the 49ers defensive line is a lot more talented than the Titans are. Yeah, they're going to be all over Mahomes. But luckily, Mahomes is really athletic, and he plays very well outside the box and makes a lot of plays outside the box. Am I counting on that? We'll see.
Hopefully it's enough, right? Hopefully he scrambles, because his legwork is basically what defeated the Titans. I felt like they just roasted that Kansas City offensive line, especially in the first half. We were talking about that. But Mahomes did, it seemed like every play almost, he had some kind of magic cooked up to avoid the pressure and get the play, just long enough to extend the play. So if he can do that against San Fran, I think it'll be a bigger challenge. And I talked about before with the upstairs. I think that's Kansas City's biggest challenge going into the Super Bowl is how well can we keep Mahomes protected from this defensive line that, let's face it, they're the guys who beat Green Bay. I mean, yeah, the secondary played a great game. Mostert played a great game. Debo Samuel looked good. Yep. Jimmy G, for as little as we saw him, looked, adequate. But it was the D-line. I felt like that, and that was kind of my pick beforehand. They just ran over Green Bay, who, let's face it, has a good pass-blocking offensive line.
Yeah.
Just couldn't stop these guys.
And I'll say exactly what I said. I am just smile to ear, just the fact that my Chiefs are in a Super Bowl in my lifetime. They win it, that's great. Cherry on top. I just want to see them in the Super Bowl, man. This is it. I'm ecstatic. I'm excited.
Well, I'm glad you got what you wanted.
I did get what I wanted.
Kind of glad you got what you wanted. I prefer to got what I wanted more, but, if somebody had to win, at least you got to. I mean, this could have been the Patriots again, right? It could have been Titans-Patriots, and then Tom Brady could be cruising on to Super Bowl 23 or whatever we're on at this point. No, but at the very least, I like that these are two quarterbacks who have not been there before, and I like the fact that maybe the NFL is now moving into a new generation of guys, and maybe these two will be, perennial rivals like we've seen out of guys like Manning and Brady, maybe Rivers and Roethlisberger and Eli, the way we compare them. Maybe the next great matchup is Mahomes and Jimmy Garoppolo out west.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, obviously. Damon, what's up, man? Good to see you. He says, you know what? I was wrong about half of my Super Bowl theory.
He was saying Packers-Chiefs because he wanted the State Farm Bowl.
But maybe they just want to give. Maybe there's a theory that the Niners need to get their 6 rings. There's multiple teams with 6 rings.
I think NFC, if you're the NFL, I mean, you're getting 2 teams with massive fan bases. Do you care? I mean, Aaron Rodgers, he's one of your all-time greats. He's going to Canton. Would you mind it if he got to the Super Bowl again? Same thing with the 49ers. You got Jimmy G, this budding star. I think the only team that they were like, maybe we don't need to see Ryan Tannehill. And maybe this is just because I'm a Titans fan, but just doesn't have that same allure as up-and-coming Jimmy Garoppolo, up-and-coming Patrick Mahomes, all-time great Aaron Rodgers, journeyman Ryan Tannehill. One of these things is not like the others.
Jacob says Derrick Henry's shoulders feel much better today. He's not carrying.
Got the rest of the offense off of him.
He's not carrying the rest of the team through it. Michael Smith says...
I think his wallet's going to feel good in the next coming weeks, too.
Yeah, no joke. Michael Smith says he thinks the best offense versus the best defense. Do you believe these are the 2 best teams all year? Well, before you say, during our off-season rankings, we definitely put the Chiefs up there. I don't know if a lot of people saw the Niners being this good, even though we both admit
we saw them coming back closer to average.
Jimmy Garoppolo being healthy, we knew that this team was going to be better. I had my doubts about the defensive line, thinking that these guys couldn't come and work together, and you were the one that was considered go, no, there's plenty of talent. This is going to be what they're going to ride on into the season. And, man, yes. So my answer is yes. These are, in my opinion, the 2 best teams out of the AFC and the NFC.
And forever, I was critical of John Lynch saying, hey, you can't just pay everybody because that almost never works out. And usually it doesn't. Occasionally you get teams like Jacksonville that have that one good run and things fall apart because you overpaid. Or the Rams, you could argue, are the same kind of situation where they paid a bunch of veterans to come in and then it just doesn't work out. But it's worked so far. So despite me not liking what John Lynch has done, I can't argue with the success, right? I mean, you got him to a Super Bowl. Yeah. At the end of the day, wouldn't you take 4 or 5 years worth of purgatory to go to the Super Bowl? I think a lot of teams would.
Absolutely.
A lot of teams sit in that purgatory and go nowhere. Sorry, Detroit. Sorry, Cleveland. But sorry, Tennessee. A lot of those teams just hang around that 4, 5, 6 wins, and they try to pay everybody, and things still don't go their way. I don't know. Maybe John Lynch has got it all figured out, and I need to stick to my day job.
I don't know if we said hi to you, Will. Will, good to see you. He says if Aaron Rodgers would have had that All-State instead of State Farm, he would have been protected against all mayhem last night. He was under a lot of duress. There's no doubt about it. I mean, there was definitely pressure on him, but when I watched it, I didn't really think that the issue was the pressure. It's the fact that he's like, I got one person to throw the ball to. I think that's the issue.
And one half of the field to throw it on because Richard Sherman's over there. We're not throwing on that side of the field. Speaking of which, what did you think about Darrelle Revis coming out and saying Sherman's not a good corner because he just sits in cover 3 and won't go man to man? Because I think he's got a bit of a point, even though I like Richard Sherman. Let me go on the record saying I love Richard Sherman as a corner and as a player. I think the guy is an all-time great at corner, maybe one of the best to ever do it. But Revis does have a point. He doesn't go and match the best receiver like a lot of great corners do. He doesn't try to take that guy out of the game. Can you imagine if he took Devontae Adams out of this game? What the Packers' offense would have looked like? You take those 189 yards out of him?
Well, in a sense, you would have seen it like it was the first half, 0 points.
I know, but do you think that has a negative impact on him as a corner because he is more of a zone cover corner that I'm playing my spot, I'm not shifting sides of the field, and you can move your best weapon away from me?
No, I mean, that's just... It's comparing apples to oranges. Some are great zone corners, and some are great man-to-man corners, and it depends on the scheme you're playing in, and each corner plays well. I mean, talking about Darrelle Revis, could you have played as a zone? Could you have done it?
I would argue he was pretty good at both
point
sets.
Is,
yeah.
Richard Sherman played a lot of man-to-man in his younger year when he had the speed.
And they moved away from it. But he even in the later years in Seattle, it was I'm the cover 3 corner. I'm gonna cover this zone.
Right.
I'm not. This is my spot. Nobody throws here. And that today is that kind of example. It might be skewing some of his numbers if you look at it.
My point, and you're not wrong. My point is the fact that he's asked to do one thing and he does it well. So why are we dissing him for it?
Sure, and I'm all for that. I don't have that strong of a feel on it. I see Revis's point, but I also see Sherman's point where he's like, look, this is what I'm great at, and I do it better than anyone else. So why are you complaining that I'm not going to go try to work on one of my weaknesses? Why not emphasize my strength? That's what great teams do. They emphasize their players' strengths and get the most out of them. So then again, when everyone says, oh, well, there's a 36 QBR against Richard Sherman, sure, but that's because they'll take Devontae Adams, move him to the left side of the field so he's away from him, and then not throw on that side. So, yeah, the rating's low over there, but you're letting the other guy just get eaten up because that receiver is just moving away from you. So I do get both sides of it. And I want to get your opinion. I'll say this. Do I think it hurts him for going to Canton and whether he's an all-time great? No, he's still going to go to the Hall of Fame, everything else. Do I think it hurts him when we talk about who's the greatest cornerback to ever play the game? Yes. Because I think it's almost like the LeBron argument where, yeah, he went to all those finals, but you lost some.
Yeah.
Or I guess the better example would be Michael Jordan, where anytime you want to bring up, you're like, never lost the championship.
I mean, I hear you.
Good to see you, Frank.
Good to see you, Thomas. I get it, man. I understand, but when you play man to man, you also have to have a great second corner to cover the other side or be able to switch, and sometimes that's where the flaw comes in. I mean, if you asked Richard Sherman in his younger age to play man-to-man, he did it, and he would have done it perfectly fine. I think Richard Sherman is one of those corners that can play in any kind of system, but where does he shine the most at? It's zone. So why not play the guy in the best position he possibly can? Darrelle Revis, you're retired, man. Just shh, and enjoy your millions. Don't talk. That's my opinion. Dude, you played a great game.
But they're corners. They got to get in somebody's ear. That's what corners do.
Dude,
have you ever met Jalen Ramsey?
He's not Deion Sanders. He's not prime time. Okay?
Everybody does it, but they aspire to be. Everyone does it. Every great corner, you have to be that chippy guy that I'm going to challenge everything everyone says. Yes. Yeah, every receiver has to be the softest guy on the face of the earth. We'll keep going. Sean says, everyone, the Daytona 500 is coming. But we're not talking NASCAR today. I'm glad you're excited. I know you're excited that 3-week period where racing is actually off the television is now over, and they'll be racing again here. And believe me, no one's more excited about it than me. But right now we got to keep it to football, Sean, unfortunately.
JP, good to see you, man. He says, how do we feel about Dean Pease retiring?
It never even felt like the Titans' window was open, and now everybody's leaving. Window is slamming shut, Drew. It's not even closing. It's slamming shut, and we're about to get our fingers stuck underneath that windowsill. I hate it. I hate it. Anytime you lose an all-time great defensive coordinator, it's not a great thing, and we don't have that next up-and-coming. I mean, his son is on the team. Maybe they give it to him, but beyond that.
A good friend of mine says there is, Wade Phillips.
True, and Romeo Crennel reportedly won't be back with Houston. So there are guys. There are names.
There are big names.
Especially guys that have been around the block.
And have done well in this league.
We'll see. I like the Wade, but you got to remember his dad.
Romeo's worked with Mike Vrabel in the past.
Yes.
Of course, as a coach and a player, but still.
Yes.
Actually coaches together.
And also, Wade's father, Bum, was longtime coach of the Oilers way back. I mean, him and Adams, notorious. And then, again, didn't exit on great terms. So perhaps that reputation, kind of relationship's already dead in the water. Don't know, but I will say this. The Titans need to find a way to work some miracles. It's more specifically, John Robinson, their GM, needs to find a way to pull more rabbits out of his hat and keep this team together and try to come up with another great hire like he did with Arthur Smith that even when it happened, I was like, what? And then just happened to be the right call. We need more magic here in Nashville if this team's going to stay consistently good and not just be that one-and-done team kind of like Jacksonville was a couple of years ago when they went to the AFC Championship. Then the next year they won 4 games and everyone was like, I want out.
Yeah, there's definitely a huge offseason in front of the Tennessee Titans. We will definitely get into that into shows to come. Of course, you guys ask questions. We'll gladly answer them. But we will go into depth about every team and what they should do during the offseason. But always feel free to ask us a question about that. But there's no doubt about it. The Tennessee Titans have huge question marks into this offseason.
I'm scared. I'm scared. Thomas says Brady is keeping the door open to signing with different teams. Where do we think he will go, and where do you want to see him? I want to see him back in New England because I think that gives him the best chance to win another Super Bowl. Obviously, I think he has his own motivations. He would like to win a Super Bowl with another team that can kind of show that all these past years have been me and not Belichick. Because forever, that's going to be the question. Is it because they had Brady? Is it because they had Belichick? Is it somewhere in between? I think the best situation for his success would be to stay in New England and for them to add some weapons. And I think that's the most likely thing to happen. But if he leaves, it'll be somewhere like Indianapolis or somewhere like Dallas because they don't want to pay Dak Prescott. I just don't see it happening. I think Tom Brady is going to be in Foxborough regardless of what happens.
Yeah, please keep going. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. The reason I say Colts, just really quick to round it out, Thomas, the reason I say Colts is because he's going to need a great offensive line to protect him. They have a running game as well. They have T.Y. Hilton, who is, to me, one of the best mid-range receivers where you throw it to him 10 or 12 yards up the field and then let him make a play after the fact. They have Paris Campbell that can kind of do some of the similar things. I think that's the best way you maximize Tom Brady's talent because as he gets older, he's not going to be throwing those deep passes. He's not going to have the same arm. I think the Colts makes the most sense, especially because they're likely to move on from Jacoby Brissett or try to upgrade from Jacoby Brissett and have him return as a backup. And then the Cowboys makes some sense because, again, are you going to give Dak Prescott a $40 million deal? If I'm Jerry Jones, I would definitely be exploring that.
Yeah, as far as Tom Brady goes, I think he's going to try to find the best offensive line that's good at pass protecting and allow him to have time to complete passes. I mean, you've seen his turnovers kind of increase as he got a little bit older. Maybe you could say that's due to pressure that's put on him through not a great offensive line. But you look at someone like the Colts. You can bring up someone like the Cowboys who have, at least on paper, a better offensive line. For sure, the Colts than the Patriots. Maybe those are teams that could be targeting. The question is it has to be a team that's complete and ready to win now. Tom Brady's not going to go to any team that's less competitive than what the Patriots are. And that's where the issue comes into. And anyone's like, man, we can get Tom Brady. I know there's a lot of Titans fans that are bringing up Tom Brady's name. Will Tom Brady...
He's not going to come with his offensive line.
Right, but will Tom Brady come to a team like the Titans that right now, their team's in a lot of contract issues.
Right.
And that's where I don't think Tom Brady's going to come into. If he's going anywhere... off the top of my head, it'd be the Colts.
Yeah, I think that's the best. And then, like I said, I think behind that you have Dallas. But I don't know how interested Jerry Jones is going to be. Maybe. Jerry Jones says he wants to win above anything else. Maybe you go get the all-time great quarterback and bring him in and hope. I mean, because they have Amari Cooper. He can do the same thing. You send Amari Cooper 10 yards down the field, throw it to him. He makes a man miss, and then they rip a 48-yard touchdown off of it. They have the running game. They have the offensive line. They even have the pieces on defense to be good if they can buff up that secondary in the draft in the offseason.
He would make Dallas good, but I don't know if he's that much better than Dak Prescott because of where Tom Brady is with his age and talent and where Dak could be.
I think he'd be better against those winning teams that we didn't see Dak succeed against.
You would lose all confidence in Dak. Dak would lose everything. And
well, the idea is he's moving on.
But the thing is, you bring him in, Dak's no longer there.
Yeah, that would have to be it. But you could say I'll pay Tom Brady maybe $20 or $22 million and get a comparable quarterback to Dak Prescott. Even if you can say he's not as physically gifted at this point, mentally, you got to think Tom Brady has the advantage on Dak Prescott. You're going to say, I'm going to bring him in. I'm going to bring him in for a lot less. I'm going to fix the couple holes on my defense. And we're going to take another swing at this because, again, this team should be complete. I know they underachieved this season, but kind of like the Bears, they're one of those teams that I think could totally just bounce right back and be a 12-win team next season, especially if they bring in a guy like Brady.
Will says the rumor around Jameis Winston is 3 years, 23 to 26 mil.
I love it. If you do like Jacksonville did with Blake Bortles. Why do I love it? Even though I don't love Jameis Winston as a player, I'm okay if you want to kind of expand, keep kicking the can down the road and say, hey, maybe this year he turns it around. If you do that 23 to 26 number and make it escapable after the first year, guarantee the first, guarantee somewhere around half in the second, guarantee very little in the third, kind of like the Jaguars did with Blake Bortles. You don't tie yourself to an anchor that'll weigh you down. The scariest number should be 4 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans, because anytime you give a guy 4 years, you're probably guaranteeing into the third year guaranteed money for a quarterback that next year might not be good enough to win you anything.
Well, I actually like this contract. This is somewhere those numbers are realistic. He's not an above $30 million a year quarterback, in my opinion. I know you know this, Will. I know you love to give us a lot of grief, but this gives enough space for this team to focus on the offseason and the draft and to sign some of these players that have been showing well. You got to focus on that offensive line. You got to focus on that secondary, and you definitely got to focus on that run game. When you pay someone about $26 million, especially with the numbers, let's not ignore the fact this guy has an arm. The problem is the turnovers. You put other weapons around him, protect him a little bit better. This kind of contract gives the Buccaneers the best chance to put that to happen. Question is Jameis Winston humble enough to take, in a sense, realistically, when you look at it, a pay cut to be a quarterback for the Buccaneers?
Damian says he knows we're talking football today, but he has a question for us about hockey, actually. He says, Patrick Kane got his 1,000th goal of his career, and with him winning championships in Chicago, is he the greatest of all time at hockey? All I can say is Gretzky, man. Go look up the stats. Look at, like, the scoring per year and everything that Gretzky had. I don't think there's a bigger gap of any athlete in any sport than Wayne Gretzky to everybody else to ever play hockey.
Serena Williams.
Okay. I don't think there's a bigger gap from any sport I care about. Sorry, tennis players. Than Wayne Gretzky has on hockey. And that's not a shot at Patrick Kane. 1,000 goals, amazing. I mean, yes, he's won multiple championships with Chicago. All-time great for the franchise. How about that? He's one of the best ever Blackhawks. But just go Google Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah.
And again, you can be an amazing hockey player, but this guy was this. Men among boys doesn't even sound right, but that's what it was.
Patrick Kane, he deserves all the credit in the world. You know, maybe top 5 of all time. I'll give him that. I don't know if I can put him at 3. I just don't know. When you throw goalies into that, man, there's a lot of real good goalies back in the day, and great defensive players that don't get the stats because he's not putting up goals that you should talk about too. I mean, he's a great player.
Maybe I would say top 5 Blackhawks. Probably.
I said maybe top 5.
Yeah. I don't know that I'd say like top 5 all hockey. I just don't think so.
I said maybe.
Okay, that's fine.
I really
that's
have
fine.
to go back and look through it. I mean, I said maybe. I'm kind of with you.
But my point is, when you say GOAT, when he's the GOAT, that means greatest of all time, no argument, one guy, and my thing is, the worst thing that drives me crazy when someone says, there's 2 GOATs out here. You can only have one greatest of all time by definition. The greatest of all time is literally the greatest, nobody better, of all time. You can't have 2 of them back-to-back. It's Wayne Gretzky for hockey. And like I said, you can say
position?
Per position you could change it, but still, come on. I mean, when you're talking about overall, it's Wayne Gretzky. And it's not even close. You could say Michael Jordan for basketball, but you have some argument. You can say, take your pick in baseball. I really don't think there's a single guy you can point to in baseball and say he's the best ever. I mean, Babe Ruth obviously brings up, is what a lot of people say, but it was a different era. There's.
You could say.
You could even say Tom.
Hold on.
You could say we're not talking about this. No, we're not talking about this. What we are talking about is when you talk about gaps between the greatest of all time and the next best guy, it's Wayne Gretzky and everybody else who ever play hockey.
Of his era too, because there's no doubt that Babe Ruth was the GOAT.
Well, that's not of all time then. It would be some weird acronym that would be greatest of his era. The Go-He. But that's not the GOAT. It's not the same thing. And again, when you're talking about hockey, it's Wayne Gretzky, period. You close the book. We're done talking about it. That's all I can say.
Yeah, it's true.
Go look at the stats. Again, it's mind-boggling the number of points he scored. Not even points. He scored more goals a lot than people score points these days in a season. It's insane. It's insane. And that's not a slam on your guy, man. It's not a slam on your guy, Damian. It's just you're competing with an alien.
Chris, good to see you, man. He says he's playing Madden 20 right now with a Super Bowl matchup. He says the Niners are in quest for 6, and fortunately, Patrick Mahomes there to stop it, man. He's going to stop it.
Well, I know who's not going to stop it, my boys. So, why even watch the Super Bowl? Oh, yeah, the commercials and the halftime show. That's what I'm going to be there for.
And the free food at the party you go to.
Yes. Okay, let's round it out with Chiefs-Titans. Is there anything else you want to talk about with this game? Anything you don't feel like we covered that just struck you? Like, you saw this in the Titans game, and it's why they're going to win the Super Bowl. You saw this, and this is what you're concerned about. I already said the pass rush. That was my kind of biggest takeaway, because the Titans have not been good at rushing the passer all year, and they did a good job in this game. Teams have good games. That happens. That's a thing.
First half for sure.
Specifically, yeah.
You guys dominated O-line.
Teams have good games. That's a thing that happens too. So I don't want to say that maybe the Chiefs' offensive line just didn't have its best game, and maybe they look better against the 49ers. But that's what I'm most concerned about if I'm a Chiefs fan. And I'm going in neutral part here. I don't care. I really don't. Now that I'm out, whatever. Just somebody has to win. I've already lost.
As far as what I saw from him, I saw the team as a whole become closer. And I know you can sit there and say that was the Texans game when they went down 24-0, and then you saw a resurgence of this team getting confidence again. I don't think we ever lost the confidence. I think now what you're seeing is how we can win in different methods. You saw Kelsey go off against the Texans. Well, that didn't work this game because you guys shut out Kelsey in a sense. Kelsey, I think, is.
I think it was more injury. I didn't see a lot of Kelsey. Yeah,
I was just about to say I think Kelsey's banged up, and they're just not showing it in the stat line. But he's not creating gaps between the guys that were covering him. So we relied on someone like Tyreek, and you relied on someone like Robinson and Watkins. But I like the fact that we didn't have to rely on him, and we also see Damon Williams come out and show a little bit. Saw a little funky, like he falls on himself, he tripped or something, and he popped out of the game. We give Thompson the ball and he runs well.
I didn't like the jump kick that he did. That was kind of annoying. He was like, fire was coming at him, and he was like trying to kick him, and they was like, oh, I can't do that.
Yeah, you can't do that. Yeah,
but still, that kind of interrupted the tackle. At what point are you like, that was
perfect.
It worked. It worked.
It's
yeah.
a flag. That was Belichick.
Kick him, but
act like
don't.
you're about to kick him, but then back off because he'll back off.
I loved that, by the way.
I also like to see the fact that people like Sorensen, I know he got a lot of negative talk about him going in pretty much during the offseason and this year about why he's still on the roster. But after Thornhill went out, he has really stepped up, played well, had huge plays in both these last 2 games. I am also not a huge Sorensen fan myself. I think he's kind of like a hype player. When everything's going your way, he seems to play well, but if it's going bad, he seems to kind of run into his own players. He wilts
a little bit, yeah.
No, you've seen it. He ran into his own player. I mean,
on the A.J. Brown tackle?
Yeah. It's just it seems to happen that way. Nothing against number 49, but he's not someone that you're going to sit there and go, I'll give him $8 million a year. No, he's just not that guy.
Well, this is why I kind of scoffed a little bit when you were telling me the Chiefs are the most complete team. Because when you have the most complete team, you're like, there's nobody I would upgrade. But you're telling me right now, like, if you had the chance, when we're talking about Sorensen, would there be someone else wearing a red jersey than Sorensen?
Yeah, Juan Thornhill.
Yes.
That'd be who playing that spot.
Yes, but still, I mean, like, if you have the chance, there are guys that you can upgrade, and that's kind of my point.
Everyone has a
but
team.
For a backup safety. I think Sorensen played okay. Even more the last round. I would say.
You would change your left tackle out for someone that's better, and he's like one of the highest paid left.
I would not change Taylor Lewan. He had the lowest pressure rate after week 8 when he came back. I mean, yeah, he was out of rhythm when he started off the injury. I mean, left tackles pass protect, right? He had the lowest pressure rate out of any tackle. It's what I mean. His penalties have even been down. I wouldn't trade Taylor Lewan for anybody. I'd like a lower contract. But beyond that...
So you're changing them out.
But, yeah.
All right, I won
So who am I taking?
Won that conversation.
So who am I taking? Who am I taking?
Eric Fisher.
No. Thank you. Respectfully, no. Okay.
Robert,
back
good
to the task,
man. He said, okay, guys, he's calling... What is he calling?
He's calling it Sherman gets one more interception, and the MVP is George Kittle. It won't be. If George Kittle is that involved, it'll be Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm sorry for Kittle and all receivers. That's just the way the Super Bowl MVP works. But I like the optimism. Maybe he can have 260 of their 293 yards or something, and they can give it to Kittle. He's saying his Niners are going to win 43-36. I don't know what the score is even going to look like. I really don't. I mean... It could go that wild. We could see that. But remember when we thought the Patriots and Rams game was going to get way out of hand? And it was 13-3? And then remember when we thought the Eagles and Patriots were going to be somewhat low scoring? And then it was like, 99-98?
It would shock me if the Niners can hold the Chiefs below 20 points. It would shock
I think 20 points is optimistic too. But again... 36 is a lot.
Touchdowns.
36 for a losing team is a lot. I mean, even the Titans, which I'll argue, I'll concede right now, the Titans' defense is not as good as the 49ers, especially this year.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Probably the best defense in the league.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And how many points did the Chiefs score against the Titans in a win? in a playoff game. And this is where I'm going with this.
Don't get me into this argument, because every time we've ever played a number one defense, we put up massive numbers against them, because Andy Reid is that much of an offensive mind where he can create matchup mishaps, because we're littered with talent on the offense. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, yeah.
That we could put up points. And when you have a playmaker like Mahomes, you better be ready to score points. And that was my biggest argument with the Titans, is the Titans could beat the Chiefs. But the question is, who are you keeping out? And, they kept Kelsey out. Problem is, you got everyone else to deal with. So when you start scoring points, you got to be able to do that. Nothing against the Titans, but they don't have the offense the 49ers do. With Jimmy Garoppolo, Kittle, and those receivers and that running back core, I think they could put up points. Do I think, 43-38? That might be a little bit high.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking. But
38-32 is probably realistic.
But
maybe
no,
the high's 38.
Why don't you just stab me while you're at it too? Because I was like, that might be a little high, and then you're like, what? And then you kind of were like, yeah, I can see it being a little high. So yeah, that's okay.
No,
I think it'll be lower scoring than that, but I think it'll be in the 30s.
Man. I know you're still
after what I just went through this week, Drew. You're gonna come at me like that? No, it's okay. I think that's a little high, Robert, but you never know. I mean, the Eagles game, I wasn't expecting those kind of points. Anything can happen in the Super Bowl, because it's like two teams that aren't used to seeing each other. You're going to have 2 weeks to prepare, same as them. It's going to be one of those situations where anything can happen. I think it sounds a little high to me. I think even with the Chiefs offense, though, I think it's probably going to be like the winning team gets 35 points and the losing team somewhere between like 33 and 28. But you never know. Yeah.
40 would be crazy.
Yeah, but do we think Nick Foles is going to throw for 500-some yards and outshoot Tom Brady?
But it's funny because that's one touchdown.
Yeah.
And we've all seen how quickly Kansas City can put up one touchdown.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not trying to. I'm just saying.
We'll see. Yeah, no, I know. And we could also we've also seen counterpunch the 49ers just destroy with the running game.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we were worried about Derrick Henry in this game, but I mean, I think this is just as big of a worry for the 49ers, even though Tevin Coleman's not going to be in
games it. That the Chiefs will be looking at will be the Seahawks, the Saints, and the Rams when they played the 49ers. Just kind of how they played them, how they put up those points against that defense. Because those were high-scoring games against the 49ers, but let's all be realistic here. I'm a Chiefs fan. I'm a huge Chiefs fan, but this is the toughest matchup we had all year long. Plain and simple. This is I kid about being the complete team, and I only do it to get Jake's temper and blood pressure up. But if we're going to talk about the most...
No, I love it. Keep saying it.
The most complete team, realistically, all year long would either be the 49ers and the Ravens. And the Ravens obviously got dominated. So at this point, it's probably the 49ers and the Chiefs, but the 49ers have had that title for a while now.
All right, let's keep rolling through it. Thomas says he's concerned about the Chiefs' offensive line against the Niners' front. Yeah, I agree. I think that's the Chiefs' biggest weakness. I mean, their biggest strength, obviously, is just what they can do offensively. If you can buy Mahomes the time, you can win. So it's like strength versus strength almost. Who wins that setup? And I guarantee you, Andy Reid's going to have something creative. He tried, if you watch the beginning of the Titans game, he was doing a lot of creative stuff. Like, he was putting Patrick Mahomes in motion and, like, kind of rolling him out a little bit early on. It didn't work, and they moved away from it. But we haven't really seen Patrick Mahomes do that a whole lot. They don't roll him out unless it's like a scramble play. They were kind of putting him in motion at the beginning of the first few plays of that game, and then they were like,
Yeah, they don't really do a lot of bootlegs. When you see him roll off, it's usually because
everything's falling apart.
Falling apart.
Yeah, and I agree. But the first couple plays, I saw him specifically do it, and I don't know if they were like, okay, we want to get away from those D tackles, because that's what I would be thinking. Jeffrey Simmons and Jarrell Casey are definitely the two most dangerous threats on the Titans' defensive line.
Your interior line dominated our center and guards. Dominated.
Exactly, but they didn't have the speed on the edges to keep up. The difference in this one will be the speed off the edge with D Ford. And even Bosa, even though he's not the fastest guy, he has good short-range burst. They're going to have much more athletic defensive ends than the Titans did. And I don't know how you solve that as Andy Reid, but I think he'll come up with something. And then if that works or not, I mean, he may get away from that, because to his credit, when it didn't really seem like it was working early on in the Titans game, they stopped with the rollouts and like the design shifting of the offense and just went back to, hey, let's just do what works all the time, every time. Couple more of these comments here, and then we'll move on to our second game here. I'm actually a little bit behind. Will says, Raiders rumor mill. Gruden is ready to move on from Carr. I'm going to let you start, and then I'll go next.
With who? I mean, maybe this is another Tom Brady sighting. You had an offensive line that did well at protecting Derek Carr.
We saw the fight where Brady and at the McGregor fight, Brady and I'm drawing a blank on the owner's name, Davis.
Yeah,
saw each other. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, it's definitely a possibility. I mean, if they're gonna decide to draft a rookie, Derek Carr's there. That's my opinion. He's gonna stay there. It's just a matter of time until the rookie's ready to roll. Is it? As watching the Raiders as much as I possibly could, I saw potential in every game. Can I give the fact that Derek Carr was the reason why each time they lost that game at a close game? I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if it was Derek Carr. I'd have to put it on that defense. And that defense is littered with young talent. And after they lost Burfict, you could definitely see the leadership of that defense dwindle.
Yes.
And that became a huge issue with the Raiders because prior to that defense was playing well.
Yeah, I totally agree. I also think Derek Carr gets a very bad rap for not having a lot of weapons. Look at it. When they had a halfway decent offense the first couple of years he was there, he's a Pro Bowler. Maybe not quite good enough to win a Super Bowl, but he looked like a Pro Bowl quarterback. Then you move on from Michael Crabtree. They traded Amari Cooper, everything else. You let the defense kind of fall apart. They gave him 1 year where all he had was like Jared Cook. I mean, what do you expect?
That doesn't do it for you?
No, I mean, I know more about Jared Cook maybe than most NFL fans.
Well, hold on. Seth Roberts didn't do it for you?
No, he did not. And neither did Cordell Patterson, and neither did an aging Michael Crabtree. And we're looking at Derek Carr like it's his fault, but I think you should be looking at Derek Carr and saying, man, I'm glad this guy's still alive because we haven't done a good job protecting him. We haven't given him any weapons to
Carr
throw with.
brothers had a rough
yes,
NFL career.
Yes, and he hasn't had it as bad as David did. But still, everyone pointing fingers at Derek Carr, and I know you're not pointing fingers at him, but the fact that there are people in the Raiders camp that are pointing their fingers at Derek Carr and saying, you're the reason we're not winning, just shows organizational kind of disarray. You can't always blame the guy when things go wrong. Or you can't always blame the quarterback when you're not winning, even though that's what everyone wants to do. We got to remember, this is still a team game, and he has not had a good team around him.
Right. Justin, good to see you. Said the Niners are going to get their cheeks clapped. Mahomes is coming, and Damon is flipping the script. He said the Niners are going to win 38-19. Again,
I think he was going at you for the 20 points.
Again,
when you said they're not going to
again.
score 20 points, it's like they'll get 19.
They'll get 19. There's no way. I'm sorry.
And what cheeks are we talking about? How does that work?
Yeah, that's the chicks he was talking about for sure. No doubt.
Explain it to me.
No way, man. No way they're holding the Chiefs to 19. Not the way this offense is playing. I don't care. There's no way that's going down.
Neil goes on to say, let's not forget that the 49ers can put up points as well. Yes, I think that's one of the underrated storylines in this. Is and we kind of talked about it. They've thrown well at times, and they've run well at times. We haven't really seen that game, except maybe the Saints, where they've just totally done both.
That's why I said they're probably the most complete team in the NFL. Yeah. Realistically, I'm being for real when I joke about Kansas City.
No, I get you.
I mean, I know their defense has struggles, but we talked about the Niners. You've seen them put up close to 40 points a game. This team is good.
Well, oh, yeah. We don't get here unless we're good. And I'm not trying to discount your statement. Yes, they are very, very good.
Well, I was saying that prior.
So is Kansas City. I mean, pretty much everyone's been there. I mean, there was like that point at like week 8 where they're like, well, we haven't seen them play the toughest game yet. Yeah. Are they this good? And then by like week 12, we were like, yeah.
Well, then after the 4 games, we're like, they have to win this to win our love.
Prove it to us.
And then they did. One more time. And then one more time after that.
Neil also goes on to say, and Frank Clark is classless. I agree.
No.
I agree.
No.
Well, hold on. Let me go first, and then I'll let you kind of rebuttal. Because when you say he's classless, do I think it was the classiest move ever going after a guy after you? First off, going after a guy before the game, classless. But if that's what it takes to hype you up, just do it. That's fine. Going after him after the game, I think is even less classless. And I said the same thing about Richard Sherman when he went after Michael Crabtree. You can have those feelings, and you can think that about a guy. And you don't have to go to the media and be like, oh, yeah, by the way, let me just say this about him. You know who never does that? Tom Brady. And during Deflategate, you know what his number one excuse was why he destroyed his cell phone? Because I said some things about Peyton Manning that I'd like to not make public. So you can have those personal feelings. Mm-hmm. It's classless to come out in the media and be like, oh, I don't like this guy and he's trash and all this stuff. Classless. Jalen Ramsey did it, and we all know he's the picture of class. I think this was a classless move by Frank Clark, but is what it is. We
don't live the life of any of these NFL fans.
Here come the excuses. they're rich and famous, so they don't have to live by the same. That would be like me being like,
that's
Drew.
not what I was gonna get at.
Never mind. I'm not gonna say that because I don't think
we don't live. We don't have the life of these guys. We don't live their lives, and you don't have consistent questions putting in your face about this and that. People get fed up. We're human beings. We make mistakes. I'm not saying he's not making a mistake here, but when you're constantly being asked, "Are you afraid to tackle Derrick Henry?"
But it was D Ford too. It wasn't
you're
just
not.
it wasn't just Derrick Henry. He was throwing shots at D Ford afterward. I'm not going to be 12 miles offsides. And yeah, D Ford made a mistake, but for him to, he's like, oh, things are going to be different without that bum here. And he didn't use those words, but he said something along. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but still, he was like, D Ford's garbage too, and everything else.
I like the attitude.
Well, I said, if that's what it takes to motivate you, you do it.
Non-classy people don't like who don't like Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders didn't really have a lot of class for anybody, but anyone considered him.
Like I just said, every
greatest.
great quarterback were like, yeah, he was a pretty classless guy, right?
Don't like Randy Moss. Randy Moss had no respect for anybody.
I like Randy Moss.
Oh, but he had no respect for anybody.
Well, I think
no one could cover me. I'm the fastest player on the field.
You know who else said that? Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, and he is the fastest player on the field. No one could cover him. It was proven.
No, I didn't say that. I'm just saying.
I mean, you gotta understand, these guys are, again, I've talked about this so many times, they are Class A type personalities. These guys only think of themselves. That is what a lot of famous athletes are. That's because they focused on themselves and their craft, and they need to have the mindset that they are the best. Even when Tom Brady goes out there and be like, well, I'm just a quarterback that plays blah, blah, blah. No, in his Brady's like, I am the best freaking quarterback out here.
Yeah, but the difference is Tom Brady doesn't have to go and be like, Peyton Manning's trash. Who likes that guy? He's garbage. No, instead it's always the opposite. It's always classy.
But okay.
It is
That being said,
positions,
Frank Clark's
so.
not saying that Richard Sherman or was it D Ford's trash. He didn't say that.
He did in the post-game interview. Go back and look at it.
Derrick
He's like,
Henry's
"Oh, where's
trash."
Well, he was like, "I'm not going to be offsides. The Chiefs are going to win because I'm not going to be offsides."
That's not calling him trash.
It's calling him out and it's calling him trash.
It's calling him. He made a mental error. And by the way,
which
as
means
a
you're a bad
Chiefs
player.
fan, he made a giant mental error.
He did. But it's also classless to call a guy out like that in that situation. I think it is. And again, different strokes for different folks. If you're okay with it, that's fine. I'm glad you're wearing the red. Were you okay with Tyreek Hill coming out and having the dog peeing celebration or whatever when he got called out too?
Guess what? No one can cover him.
No one can cover him. So forgive anything he says or does at this point. Break any child's arm you want, Tyreek, as long as you run fast.
No charges were pressed. Okay, he did get suspended by the NFL.
Okay, all right. As we move on,
we all turn,
blind eye to things that maybe we don't want to see. Maybe answers we don't want to see. That's okay. Like I said, let me round it out with Frank Clark. It's not. I don't think it was the classiest move in the world. But if that's what it takes to motivate you, because some guys are like that. Some guys need to be like, they need to be the antagonist almost because it makes them play better. If that's what it takes, good for Frank Clark. That's all I can say. Like, I think the Chiefs would much rather have him playing better and antagonizing people than being like, yeah, well.
He didn't play that great of a game. He had like one good play, that was against Tannehill, and that was about it.
Yeah. Outside of that, I mean, he was going up against Taylor Lewan, kind of like you said. I mean,
no, he played a lot of the right side too.
Well, he's going up against Jack Conklin, another soon-to-be $15 million man.
Both terrible 2 tackles.
I know one thing. You're going to hope Jack Conklin's guarding Patrick Mahomes' ass after next season when he walks.
Play one of the worst teams ever right there.
Okay, but...
Wait a minute. No, Mitchell Schwartz is way better right tackle than Jack Conklin is. Come on. You can admit that.
I mean, Mitchell Schwartz is very good too. But Jack Conklin is quietly one of the best right tackles in the game. I mean,
he's good.
2 or 3. Like, if you're going to pick him...
He's good.
He's like probably 2 or 3.
Schwartz is better. Right now, yes.
No, I think I'd take Jack Conklin. Jack Conklin is not only a road grinder where he just dominates people.
Okay.
Why do you think Derrick Henry has a lot of success? And not to mention, he played next to Josh Klein, like the worst guard, ask Viking fans, like the worst guard to ever take a breath of life. And then he played next to Nate Davis, 3rd-round pick, who does like this weird frog stance. And you know what? The right side always looks good for the Titans. And you know why it does? Because that man's standing there, and he's got like the weakest sister of the line playing next to him every week. Look, I think Jack Conklin is incredibly underrated. He was a 1st-round pick for a reason. And yeah, I think he's better than Mitchell Schwartz. Not by a lot, because I think Mitchell Schwartz is very good too. But I think he's better.
Okay. It's your...
Don't come after my boy like that. He's not even about to be my boy. He's going to be a free agent here in like 5 minutes. All right? He's going to be someone else's $15 million man because you can't pay him both Taylor Lewan salaries. All right. Okay, moving on. Now that you got my jimmies in a twist.
Don't you dare make fun of Conklin. Was he over for Christmas dinner?
He's about to be. After that spiel, I think I should be invited to his house for Christmas after that. I just went to bat for him. Perry says Shanahan was the coach in the Super Bowl 51, the Patriots comeback. This playoff game showed that he won't let that happen to him again. Niners will do what the Titans couldn't. Perry, you are right. He did kind of preside over the worst collapse in it. Well, he didn't preside. He was the coordinator instead of the head coach. Usually we blame the head coach, and Dan Quinn gets that on his shoulders. But yeah, he was in one of those situations. You don't think Andy Reid's dealing with some of those demons? Where like everyone's always like, man, great coach, but he never could win a Super Bowl. I think both of these guys, one of them is going to be very happy to finally slay the beast and get this off his shoulders, and the other guys could be like, man, I just can't win. Just can't win. I was this close. So, yes, will that come into a factor? I don't know. Maybe it gets into his head. He's still a young guy. He's only in his 40s. Young for a coach.
He's going to be good for very, very long time.
Yeah, and just think, the Titans kept Mike Mularkey around instead of hiring him. Thanks, guys.
Even if he isn't a head coach for the 49ers, he'll be a head coach somewhere else.
Sorry, Vrabel. I mean, I know everyone loves you in Tennessee, but, dude, we could have had Kyle Shanahan and instead kept Mike Mularkey. Okay, I'm not bitter about it, though. I think...
Don't throw Conklin into that conversation either.
Quietly, I think Kyle Shanahan's like a top 3, top 4, top 5 coach in the league. And we got Belichick. You got guys like Doug Peterson that are a little bit under the radar. You got Andy Reid, obviously. You got Sean Payton. There are a bunch of great guys. Even Sean McVay. I don't want to leave him out, even though it was a bad year.
Kyle Shanahan's top 3 this year.
Yeah. I mean, he's great.
I mean,
he's great.
He probably should be coach of the year.
And he's not been doing it very long. Usually you get that adjustment period or you have a little bit of kind of recession. I think he's taken a bad team to very good in very short order.
I don't know how many times last year we said, could you just imagine if Jimmy Garoppolo was healthy on this 49ers team? How many times we said it? And they don't have D4.
Like
they
3
don't
years
have
straight.
Nick Bosa. They don't have Emmanuel Sanders. Like, we were like sitting there just like, come out. Could you just imagine if they had a good quarterback playing in this system with Kyle Shanahan? You're right. I'm with you 100%.
Yeah, and Neil rolls it back and says Brady isn't going anywhere. I totally agree. It doesn't make sense. You got the defense, you got the running game. They'll work on the offensive line. They'll work on a couple receivers that work in the mid-range. Again, you're not looking for John Ross, who's just going to stretch the field and try to move the top of the defense. You need a guy who's going to catch a ball 10 yards down the field, make somebody miss, and then run it for 40 yards. Yeah, tight ends would be good at that too. If you can get an athletic tight end, it takes longer to develop. I think they go receiver instead. I will
bring up the Colts. If the Colts want him, I think that's the only realistic place for him to
go. They've got 2 tight ends, and Ebron and Jack Doyle. Even though I think Jack Doyle's out of a contract, but they'll figure it out.
And arguably the best. Oh, they got plenty of money.
Yeah, they'll
arguably.
But it's the Colts. They'll be like, we can't afford him. We can't afford him.
I need this $100 million on my side.
It's does anyone sit on a pile of money? Chris Ballard's just a dragon. He just sits on a pile of money and hoards it, and he's like, no, we'll be fine. And then they are. They are. It's the moral of the story. They're always fine. And then you're like, but what if you spent that $100 million you're sitting on?
The next Peyton Manning.
Yeah, I know. But they'll probably find a way to keep Jack Doyle. And, really got to dig into the piggy bank for that one. And then they got T.Y. Hilton, who I still think is one of the best mid-range receivers. Again, you don't need this guy to go beat somebody 30 yards down the field. You need him to beat about 8 to 12 yards down the field and then just make somebody miss and run after the catch. And I think that's where Brady succeeds at 43 and 44 and 45 rather than... you're not trying to split the safeties and catch somebody in the seam anymore. Instead, you're trying to throw it to somebody and let him do the work.
Yeah. I think Perry was talking about Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator, and Justin was saying that, if you could roll that screen up, that Harbaugh was the coach. No, we were just talking about that the offense sputtered to an end during that Super Bowl, which would fall onto the offensive coordinator, which Dan Quinn...
we're talking about Atlanta when he was the offensive coordinator in Atlanta, and you're right, he was at the Redskins beforehand. I think he was an offensive assistant or something. I don't think he was the coordinator, but he might have been. And he was there for some of the best years of Kirk Cousins.
With his dad.
Yeah, for some of the best years of Kirk Cousins, which might have got that man the contract that he got, too.
But the point the bitterness is still there because his offense died in a Super Bowl.
Absolutely. A couple more here. Will says, the Bucs are rumored trading up in the draft as well, and honestly, he doesn't know how to feel about this. Nobody does, because outside of landing someone like Joe Burrow, which you won't because the Bengals are going to land him, there are no sure things. Tua's got his injury history. You have something to say?
No, I mean, who says they're targeting a quarterback?
Well, I mean, theoretically, you could move up for another receiver because they don't have enough of those.
Or a pass rush.
It could be a tackle.
Or a top-end corner.
Realistically, it could be a tackle because there's about 3 good ones. With Alex Leatherwood returning to school, you have Wirfs from Iowa, you have Thomas from Georgia, and you have the other guy from Alabama, the right tackle from Alabama, who's just like a monster, even though I think he'll be a better right tackle than left. You could move up and go get the best offensive lineman.
I mean, you're saying
You're right.
lineman, but
You're right, but
you're talking about maybe the best corner,
but
defensive back.
When you're rumored moving up in the draft, everyone's always like quarterback, right? You're like quarterback. And Tampa Bay needs to be in that conversation too.
Oh, agreed, 100%, but I'm just...
Because what if it's Herbert? Maybe Bruce Arians likes Justin Herbert. He's got the size and the body.
I don't see it.
I don't either.
I don't see... Well, let me rephrase this. I don't see them moving up the draft for a quarterback because they can't get to number 1. That's what I'm saying. I don't see it because they're not going to move up to grab Justin Herbert. They're not going to grab Tua. I don't see that happening. But do I see them moving up and taking the best tackle, best defensive, or the best pass rusher minus Chase Young? Yeah, I do. I can see that happening.
A couple more of these comments. Well, it won't be Chase Young, I think, too.
I said minus.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was
Chase
reading
Young.
and trying to listen, and you know how that goes.
No, I understand.
I was off in space.
Minus Chase Young, because that's not happening either.
It's going to be Washington, right? You don't bring in Jack Del Rio, and you don't bring in Riverboat Ron to not take a defensive end that is a generational talent, right?
I'll tell you this right now. If the Redskins trade out of pick 2, I will stop being a Redskins fan.
Okay.
And that's my second favorite team. You know that.
Yeah, I do.
I will stop being a fan.
I do, and it should be Chase Young. You got those big Alabama boys.
It should be Chase Young.
Identity, right? Establish an identity. Everyone talks about it all the time. You now have a great defensive line. A couple more of these comments. Chris says he's ready for this matchup. Last time they played the Chiefs, talking about the 49ers, it didn't go so well when they last lost Jimmy G. Yes. But again, how many teams succeed without their starting quarterback? Not too many of them. Andrew James also comes back and says Carr is not a guy you put on a fringe team that pushes them over the edge. I think he could be. I think if you're talking about a fringe team like the Titans, which is maybe not a fringe team, but a team that's missing a quarterback, I think he'd be amazing. I think you could win a Super Bowl with Derek Carr because I think he'd be even better than Tannehill was this year. I guess it depends on your definition of fringe. If you move him over to Tampa Bay, did they win a Super Bowl? And I guess you'd call Tampa Bay a fringe team because they won 7 games this year. No, I don't think so. But he's like just outside that elite category where you have elite quarterbacks. I think he's a very good quarterback. And you can win with a very good quarterback. It's just the rest of the team needs to be pretty good too.
All right, Sharif, good to see you, man. Glad you're here. He says Ebron is no longer with the Colts, and Damian says Ebron will go to Chicago. He's no longer under contract with the Colts, which does not mean he's no longer with the Colts.
But it's Chris Ballard. He might be like, that's 2 gold pieces to the pile, and just like shuffles it in. And he's like, we'll have 38 draft picks.
No, man. He's close to $100 million in cap space.
That's what we said last year, isn't it? We're like, the Colts are going to make it rain.
He's going to make it rain this year. He's going to make it rain this year. He has to. He has to, man.
Sooner or later.
Makes no sense.
Absolutely. Will says they always blame the quarterback. Look at Winston. Okay, no, I'm not reading that.
Adrian, good to see you, man. He said San Francisco is more of a complete team. Yes, man. I'm right there with you. They are.
But
no doubt.
Here's the thing. Everyone who says they're more of a complete thing, there's one thing Kansas City does exceptionally well, which is play offense.
Yeah.
And that can win. That can be good enough.
That's not saying they're the best offense. That's not even saying they're the best defense.
Who, Kansas City? I think they're the best
No, I'm talking about the 49ers.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm saying that the 49ers are the most complete team doesn't mean that they're the best of something. Though defense, they are. Offense, it's Kansas City. I'm sorry. I don't care if that makes me a homer. Kansas City's the best offense in the NFL.
And no, I don't think it makes you a homer. I think that for the first time ever makes you not a homer and is factually accurate. This one time, yes. You're moving back to the middle.
We're all allowed to not be homers at some point, right, Jake?
Yeah, we're welcome to the rest of the NFL, Andrew. Welcome.
And
welcome.
you. And you this time.
What I guess I'd be a homer if I said something about the Titans.
You did.
Okay. Sharif says the line's open for the Super Bowl. Chiefs minus 1.5, and then the over/under is 54.5. Yeah, see, like I said, Vegas is kind of with me, thinking this game won't get just like massively out of control. 54 points, you break that in half, that's like 28-26.
Yeah.
And I think it goes higher. I take the over.
Yeah.
I would take the over.
I'd take the over.
I think we're going to see somebody score 30, and we're going to see somebody else score in the high 20s, maybe low 30s as well. I just think I think it was Robert's prediction where he said it was going to be 43 to 36. Well, not impossible. I just think the playoffs, like I said, kind of like I said for the Titans game, they let guys grab up a little bit more in the playoffs. They don't call quite as many holding penalties, everything else. When you have that, usually you see the scores creep down a little bit because you don't get those flags you get in the regular season that kind of extends drives. Mike says he's going to have to go back and watch everything he missed. This is already good. Well, we're glad you're having a good time, Mike. Yeah,
glad you're here, Mike.
I'm glad we didn't fight because honestly, we were fighting beforehand. We didn't even say anything. You didn't say anything. I didn't even say anything, and we were still fighting.
We just got tempers.
Exactly, and we've kept it relatively pleasant.
Yeah.
Despite my broken heart.
No, I would have been crying at this point in time if the Chiefs would have lost.
I think you were last year when the Patriots beat them.
I was getting intoxicated. It was just alcohol.
The tears were falling.
No, the Jack splashed into my eyes and made me wet a little bit.
Okay, Will is taking the under as well. I'm not going to take the under in this game. I don't. It's not impossible. It's the playoffs. I mean, remember when we thought the Rams and the Patriots were going to score 99 million points and there was like 16 between them? Nobody knows what's going to happen. I think 54 is a good number, but I think I'm going with the over. Respectfully, I think Kansas City and the 49ers have done enough on offense to show me that 54 points is realistic between the two of them.
Shree says this is the best D-line that Kansas City will see.
But it's like the best D-line anyone will see. You could say that the Saints were better at times with like Cam Jordan, who's just a monster.
Can I, again, sound like a broken record and say this is not the first time Kansas City's played the best defense in the league? This is very normal for Kansas City to face good defenses and people that can get out to the quarterback. We're beatable. There's no doubt about it. But I don't think you're going to come in and say we're going to just put pressure on Mahomes and we're going to win the game. No. And this is the same with the Chiefs too. Both teams have to play complete teams. Complete, like, both sides of the ball to beat these teams.
Yeah.
49ers got to be able to score. And they got to be able to stop Mahomes. Same thing with the Chiefs. They got to be able to stop that running game and put up points against.
And maybe Jimmy G maybe shows up in this one.
And that too. Yeah. I mean, that's my point. Is you can
do we get a Jimmy G sighting in the Super Bowl?
You can sit there and say this is the best defensive line they see, but you know what? Tennessee put all the pressure on Mahomes all that first half. It was ridiculous.
They just needed Jarrell Casey to be like 30 yards lighter. And maybe something could happen.
Yards?
30 yards, because that's how you measure weight. 30 pounds lighter. Like, if you could have run instead of like that 4.9.
30 yards of beer.
Instead of running that 4.9 that Terrell Casey runs, or maybe even 5, dare I say it, 40 time, if he could run a 4.6 or a 4.7, maybe Mahomes would have been in some trouble, because there were some narrow escapes. Like, that run, I don't know how I lived through that. I thought I was going to have a heart attack. When he had that, like, 12 dodge tackle run, like, he looked like Marshawn Lynch. I was like, yeah, we're in trouble. So
Sharif also says, no, the San Francisco 49ers get pressure with only 4 guys. Yes.
And that is important.
So did the
Titans did too. Yeah.
So
they brought some
Titans.
blitzes. The Titans did blitz some.
Oh, absolutely.
They sent Vaccaro more often than I would have liked. They sent, even though I like what they did in that situation, I think, again, blitzing a safety in those when you got Tyreek Hill, I was like, ooh, no.
Hey, buddy, I'll be right back.
Yeah, but that's okay. It worked out. The Titans did have a lot of four pass pressure plays where they sent 4 guys up the middle and they got through the line, but the difference was they weren't fast enough to get to Mahomes. It is still an issue. The 49ers are faster and stronger, I think, than the Titans defensive line even. I mean, Jarrell Casey and Jeff Simmons have been great, but they're also D tackles. It's hard to run down Patrick Mahomes with D tackles when your ends aren't doing their work. The 49ers will have more edge pressure with guys like Bosa, guys like D Ford coming around from the outside that I think will make an impact in this game. That's, to me, the key to this one. I know everyone's going to talk about Mostert, Kansas City. Everyone's going to talk about Jimmy G, how much he's going to throw. The key to me is, can those ends contain Patrick Mahomes and let their big D tackles do work and just chew apart that interior offensive line for the Chiefs? They have a lot of questions. That's the Chiefs' biggest worry, I think. If they can get the ball out of Mahomes' hands fast enough, or they can get things to happen where that D-line doesn't impact them, I like the Chiefs in this game. But I think the D-line is going to be the disruptive force. That's going to be the difference. A couple more of these comments. Sean goes, the Buffalo Bills need a new coach, and they need to get back Rex Ryan. I think you mean Rob Ryan, right? Was Rex Ryan ever a Bill? I know Rob Ryan was on there for a while. No, I don't think so. It's not right to fire Sean McDermott, even though he, in my opinion, choked in a playoff game. He's young. He hasn't been a head coach for a long time. Just like your quarterback, sometimes the coach has got to go there and lose one before they're ready to win. I think the Bills are fine. He took a team that realistically did not have that much offense this year outside of a bit of a run game and made the most of it. I mean, this team, if they weren't in the division with the Patriots, might have won their division and could have had a bye week even if they played in an easier division and have to play the Patriots twice. I think the Bills are fine where they're at, man. You just got to... sometimes you just have to grow. This is a growth year for the Buffalo Bills. You're going to get some experience for your head coach. You get some experience for your quarterback, and hopefully the Bills come back stronger next season. You don't want to create any kind of havoc by getting rid of Sean McDermott right now. I don't think that's the right move. We read that one already. I'm like 12 miles behind.
Oh, hold on. Someone said get rid of Sean McDermott?
Yeah, Sean was saying the Bills need to fire their coach.
Whoa,
and
man.
I'm saying no.
No.
He got the Buffalo Bills to 11. What was it? 11-5.
Crazy.
They were this close to beating the Texans, too, and winning a playoff game. Again, you just...
That was not on Sean. That was on the lack of talent.
He made some bad calls in that game, too. Don't get me wrong.
That was not on Sean. That's a lack of talent around the rest of the team.
I mean, that was just a suck bowl, to be honest with you. I don't want... Anytime I was like, oh, well, they lost because it was this guy, everybody was trying to lose that game, I felt like. Everybody. I mean, Bill O'Brien wasn't calling a very good game. McDermott was making mistakes calling the play. Josh Allen was literally lateraling to somebody not paying attention. Dawson Knox, I think, who slapped the ball out of bounds. It was a shit show. And I'm just glad that at the end, after the shit show, we got Deshaun Watson come up and be like, somebody just had to make something happen. So I threw a pass behind the line to my running back, and he broke a 40-yard run afterward. But it's on me. Again, humility, people. Humility. I talked about it before. See, I'm consistent, Drew. I'm across the board. I want to see some humility in here.
Scott, good to see you, man. He says the Niners wasn't running because they had to... Okay, I don't know what he's saying. Scott, you're already drunk. We're glad you're here, man. We're glad you know how to log into Facebook. We're glad you're
Welcome
here.
to the show. If you want to go for round 2, we will read it.
Yes.
I can't promise we'll understand it, but we'll give it a shot. Jeremy says Jack Doyle got an extension in December. Thank you, Jeremy. I didn't know that off the top of my head, but I will say this. I wanted to see him bring Ebron back, too, because that's what made the Colts so dangerous. And I hate the Colts. But if you're a Colts fan, you want those tight ends there because that's what's made this team have an identity. You have one of the biggest and nastiest offensive lines in football, especially since Quentin Nelson's got there. Use those tight ends to kind of disguise whether you're running or passing because Ebron is athletic. Jack Doyle knows how to catch a pass. It's the best advantage where a team doesn't know whether you're going to go give it to the speedster and Marlon Mack or whether your tight ends are going to go leak out and you've got two big guys that are creating mismatches for you to throw to.
Neil says, Jake, who's that big 49ers fan guy you have on the show? I bet he's going crazy right now.
Don Johnson. And yes, I talked to him on the phone a couple days ago, and he's having a good time.
Don doesn't know jack about the NFL, all right?
To be fair, Don told me the 49ers were going to the Super Bowl.
Don
before the season. He was like, they're going to the Super Bowl.
Was that his third day on crack binge that he had?
Well, he was right.
Yeah,
Maybe the crack let him see the future, but Don knew exactly what he was talking about because he told me before the season that the 49ers were going to the Super Bowl. And you know what I told him? I was like, you're a homer, man.
That's right, Don. You're on crack. Enjoy that.
I was like, man.
And I don't feel like I'm on Sesame Street
that
rhyming.
Might have been the best call all season.
Whoa! I said the Chiefs are going to be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but everyone knew the Chiefs were going to be good.
Oh.
Like we said, nobody knew the 49ers would be good. Like, saying the Chiefs should go to the Super Bowl, before the season, we were like, maybe the Steelers would be okay. Even though we were wrong on that. We were like, maybe the Ravens would be okay. We were right on that. And then we were like, maybe, just maybe, the Patriots and Chiefs are the two teams in the AFC to beat. And so to say that the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl, like, out of that group, not that wild of a prediction, right?
No, it's not.
Who said the 49ers, outside of Don Johnson, that you know are going to the Super Bowl?
My brother-in-law. But he's an Irish fan.
Okay. Well, Don's a Niners fan, too, so I can't say that. But, again, great call. Great call. How about that? Don and your brother-in-law know exactly what they're talking about.
Adrian says, who is the best tight end in the NFL, Kelsey or George Kittle? Honest answer.
George Kittle.
George Kittle.
Now.
Yes.
Last year, even, it might have been Kelsey, but I think...
Legacy? For sure, Kelsey, hands down.
Well, again, Kittle's younger. Who knows? Maybe Kittle goes on to win 3 Super Bowls, and we're talking about, wow, this is the greatest run ever. But right now, in this moment,
yes,
I'd take George Kittle.
Yeah.
And that's not an insult. I still think Kelsey's fine. I think the injury's slowing him down.
I'm
higher on Kelsey than you are, to be fair. You're the guy who's like, he's old and he's slow. And I'm like, he's 29, man.
Dude,
and this is what tight ends do.
When you watch
Even Gronkowski was this way.
No, when you watch Kelsey through the years,
Okay.
You're like, when he catches that ball, he's going to break a tackle or two.
Okay.
Now, it's like, Jesus Christ, he broke a tackle?
That's what everyone does at tight end, basically.
I don't care.
He's not the guy he was at 25. Sure. But no tight end that's played this long in the league.
I can complain if I want, okay?
Sure, go ahead.
Kelsey
No, go ahead. This is like the only negative talk out of the Chiefs I can get from you. So go ahead. No, please. Enjoy it.
I just said my offensive line
okay, all right. So
destroyed.
this is one of two things. And this is like the only week I've ever heard you be like, oh, man, Chiefs offensive line destroyed this week. No. If you want to complain. Don't let me stop you.
No, you just have earmuffs on, and when I talk about the Chiefs, even when it's negative, you're like, did he just say the Chiefs are the best team in the NFL?
I'm sorry, what?
I said that they're the worst team in the NFL. And he hears they are the best team in the NFL.
Something like that. And Shreve says, don't forget DeForest Buckner. Nobody's forgetting DeForest Buckner, believe me. I mean...
How can you?
What a monster. And I'm glad he got around there because when he got into the league, everyone was like, maybe he didn't live up to the pick and everything else. And we were like, well, maybe the rest of the team isn't that good. But now that they have this complete defensive line, he looks like every bit of the stud that everyone thought he could be coming out of the draft. Absolute monster coming out of Oregon.
Dalton, good to see you, man. He says, who is going to win the Super Bowl?
Aren't you supposed to tell us?
He wants to know our predictions.
Well, if we want to go into right now, before I see any of the injuries and everything else to come out with it, I like the 49ers. And I like it close. I know this, again, we talked about this a little bit. I think the D-line is the difference. I think they're going to make enough plays on Mahomes that maybe they just have that one drive stall out that they needed to win the game. I like the running attack. I like Jimmy G and what he can do with the passing attack. I love if they don't trade for Emmanuel Sanders, I'd pick Chiefs here. But I like now that they have multiple weapons that I believe in that I'm saying can make a difference in this game. I'm going to go 49ers by 2. 2. And if the Chiefs win this game, I'm not going to be like, whoa, no way, I never saw this coming. But I think these are two great teams matching up with each other, and I'm going to go with, again, historically, defense, running game, that helps, everything else. I'm just going to go with the big, nasty defensive front because I think I've said it all along. I said it in the Green Bay game. They're the difference makers.
I will save my pick till closer to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he's going to save his pick, wearing for the 12th show in a row, Kansas City hoodie and Kansas City hat.
I picked against Kansas City one time this year.
Yeah, I know.
And I was right.
What? Were you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't remember. Yeah. The other 3 more times you were wrong, but that's okay.
Neil says Kelsey has been dropping passes like crazy. No, just the first one passed to him every game in the last 2 games.
Well, and then this game, he didn't really come back. I mean, or wasn't really targeted, or wasn't really needed, whatever you want to however you want to define it. Yeah, after that, they didn't give him a whole lot of chances to drop it. And you're right, in Houston, who is stopping this man? What a freight train. And like I said, when I see that, and you're like, well, he's not breaking 12 tackles and looking sexy when he does it, I'm still like, this is the second, or if you want to get technical, maybe third behind Zach Ertz, tight end in the league.
Oh,
and it's close. I like Zach Ertz.
Listen, Kittle is just what Kelsey was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And then that's my point.
And 3 years from now, we'll be like, well, Kelsey's not breaking those tackles, or Kittle's not breaking those tackles.
Can you imagine if Kelsey was healthy his first 2 years in the league?
Tight end's also a developmental spot.
He missed his full entire first year, and then played half his second year or something like that.
You can never know what can happen, but I will say this. Tight end is also a developmental spot. Usually you don't get guys that come in as rookies and dominate. I know you've had it occasionally. I think the best one, maybe you could say Aaron Hernandez, the way he lit it up as a rookie. Beyond that, you have to go all the way back to Jeremy Shockey, the guy that comes in as a rookie and just has a field day in the NFL. It's a learning experience, and that's why I kind of panned the Lions for the Hawkinson pick this year. 3 weeks from now, or 3 years from now, 3 weeks from now, 3 years from now, Hawkinson could look like a good pick.
It might be 3 weeks from now.
It could be, but we won't know because he's not going to be able to work out with the teams. It's just tight end is a developmental spot. So yeah, do I think Kelsey could have been great? Yeah, but could I think Kelsey have looked like?
Talking about his first 2 years.
A lot of other guys in those first couple of years.
For everybody.
And then you figure it out. You just get that time under your belt in the NFL and you learn the game. You got to be an offensive lineman and a wide receiver. You're literally doing 2 jobs. Sometimes a running back. When you do all kinds of crazy stuff, where you're doing stuff behind the line. So again, it's one of the most complicated positions, and there's a reason that guys don't just hit the ground running at that position in the NFL. Scott says he's happy to see a first-time winner, and I am exactly with Scott. I am happy to see a first-time winner here, and even more than that, I'm happy to see a team that hasn't been there in a while. I wouldn't have been upset about Green Bay.
Who's the first-time winner?
Garoppolo and Mahomes is what he's saying.
Oh, okay, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Quarterback, yeah, absolutely. Franchise, they both won Super Bowls, so that's what I was confused about. Scott, you're 100% right, man. We're just, what is it? It's not the Seahawks and Patriots. It's not this, what? Who else?
Patriots. It's nobody else. I agree. Patriots are out of this one. Let's all dance. Yes, absolutely. It's nice to see two guys that haven't been in it. You're right. The organizations have won, but neither have won in this incarnation with this team and everything else. So I'm happy to see that.
It's been a long time for both franchises. Chris says Kittle for sure is a lot faster than Kelsey, and Kittle is a better catcher and breaks a lot of tackles and best blocker. Well,
think back to 3 years ago, like you said. Kelsey was.
Then what's Kelsey do?
Was that guy?
Why is Kelsey number 2? I mean, you the way you put it out there, Kelsey's not good at anything. No, let's be honest. Kittle is faster, yes. Kelsey runs better routes. Who has better hands? Yeah, Kelsey's been dropping them lately, but realistically, he's more for sure hand than Kittle is. That's not a knock on Kittle. It's just Kelsey's been doing it for a long time. Now everyone remembers him dropping in the last 2 games because it was the last 2 games. There's a reason why he has the
recency bias.
There's a reason why he has the most yards as a tight end in the league is because he catches everything that comes to him. As far as blocker, they don't really ask Kelsey to block terribly a lot in the run game, so I'd probably give that to Kittle as well. Breaks a lot of tackles, you got to give it to Kittle. But 2 years ago, Kelsey hands down, no doubt. That stiff arm was so deadly.
Exactly, and like I said, it takes a while to come into it. Kittle, early in his career, was coming into that spot, and we're like, is this guy for real? Is this guy really that great of a tight end? I mean, even last year, those questions were out there about George Kittle. Now you're like, yeah, he's that good. That's how it goes. And then you're going to get 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years at most of just this elite performance, and then he'll start taking the hits like Kelsey did. And then 3 years from now, you're going to be like, man, George Kittle doesn't break tackles like he used to, but he's turning into a great possession tight end, because that's what happens. That's what happens, because you're catching the ball all the time as a tight end. You're taking all these hits. You're blocking offensive linemen. You get worn down. That's what happens. I'm not that worried about it.
Dalton, I appreciate the comment. He said, thanks for bringing us in on a live show. It's better than ESPN shows. He loves this Facebook Live. Dalton, please, man, we're here week in and week out, joining every show, comment away. We love talking sports with you guys. That's the reason why we do this. I absolutely agree.
I was I thought you had something else, so I was looking to you.
I kind of think I feel like it's coming to an end.
I do too. Do we need to grind on Green Bay in this game? One thing my point that I wanted to make going into the show, I want to talk about this because again we've been a little Chiefs and Titans centric. I know once in a while we tend to talk about our teams maybe a little bit more than we need to, and we did talk about the 49ers going forward. I don't want to like slight any Green Bay fans. I do want to talk about your team a little bit. For everybody that's coming out and saying, "Oh, Green Bay's a pretender," and all, I've seen so much hate towards the Green Bay Packers. One thing I just want to remind everybody: this was a 6-win team last season.
Before you finish, just to that comment there's actually more Green Bay haters than there is actually Green Bay fans. So that's why you see that huge influx of hate towards Green Bay.
I can't believe it, man. I can't believe it. And I know some people are just so invested in Green Bay failing that any opportunity they get, they're going to snipe at them. I understand that. Some people just don't like Green Bay, and that's okay too. I don't love Green Bay. I don't care. But my point here is this is a 6-win team last season. You paid some defenders. A thing that historically doesn't always work. Rarely works even. You paid a number of defenders, and they went from a 6-win team to a team that won 12 in the regular season, 13 in the regular season, got a bye, made it all the way to the NFC Championship, and just ran into the wrong team in the wrong week at the wrong time. Everyone's like, is Aaron Rodgers that good? I mean,
did you see what he did?
What do you want?
Did you see? He threw like 4-6 interceptions with 0 talent around him. And let's remember, Adams wasn't even out there all year long.
Exactly. And I'm 100% with Adrian. And I've been pounding the bar for years saying this. Green Bay needs more weapons. I'm going to quote you exactly, Adrian. Green Bay needs more weapons. They tried on some of these young guys. They're waiting for Geronimo Allison to hit. They're waiting on MVS to hit. They're waiting on Valdez Scantling to hit VS, or whatever, that is MVS. The other one, Equiminius St. Brown.
Yeah.
They're waiting on all these young receivers to pan out and for them to get a cheap solution to that. They don't need to do that anymore. Next year, Green Bay is going to rebuild on this, and they're going to be, barring injury, just as scary as they are right now. If they get a D tackle, that's good. And if they get another linebacker that can kind of spell with Blake Martinez and can make some tackles, this defense is going to be absolutely one of the best in the NFL. For everyone out here sniping at Green Bay because they didn't have a good NFC championship, that 100% could have been the Titans. They could have come out and just choked. It could have been Kansas City, like it was 2 weeks ago against Houston, where they just did not have a good start. Now, they overcame that, but still, they didn't have a good start. They went 27 points down, and they couldn't overcome it. I don't like that everyone's just throwing all these shots at Green Bay. It's like, at what point are you like, this team won 6 games, and we're talking about them potentially beating the best team in the NFC for the Super Bowl?
Damien says you all should live stream reaction to the Super Bowl while the game is on. Dude, I don't know if I can take it. Listen, I'm very nonchalant about them not winning a Super Bowl, but during the game, I am not. Like, I am very, passionate.
There's no, and I'm the same way. There's no nonchalance when your team is playing.
I have lost my voice many times yelling at the television.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was here when the Patriots AFC Championship was going on, man. It's tough, and I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Everybody's the same way. You should have heard me when Mahomes was breaking all those tackles in this.
We don't actually watch Titans and Chiefs games together.
We can't.
It's impossible.
Can't do it. It is impossible. It'll come to blows. Oh, but okay. I think we had.
And we actually like each other, regardless of what you think. It would come to blows. We like each other. We'll hit each other because my team's better. This year. All right, buddy.
I can't wait till they pay Mahomes and the Chiefs suck. How
Guys, you're all awesome for all the comments, likes, and shares. It means the world to us. Everyone that commented, we appreciate it immensely. It means everything to us. Remember, if you're not commenting, we still like you too. We want you to comment, though, because sit there and say, hey, man, Chiefs sucks. Titans suck. The Broncos.
Whoa. Don't say that.
The Broncos should be in the Super Bowl. We don't care what you have to say.
Don't say that either.
We need you to be part of the show. We love
Yes.
every bit of it. But I do want to give a shout out to everyone that did commented tonight. Michael, Shree, Michael, Justin, Will, Jacob, Damon, Jacob, Sean, Thomas, Frank, JP, Chris, Luke, Robert, Thomas, Justin, Perry, Neil, Andrew, Sharif, Adrian, Jeremy, Michael, Scott, Dalton. You guys are all awesome. I loved it.
Yes, now breathe. You got all the way through that list. It was great. I love when we have a lot of commenters. Absolutely awesome, Drew, and I appreciate you going through all that, man. Guys, we're going to be back on Thursday, perhaps. We'll be back
Friday,
later.
Saturday, Sunday.
We're going to return. Is the moral of the story.
We will be back.
Kind of like the Avengers. We will return.
No, it'll be Thursday. I think Thursday.
I think Thursday. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I think
We might
Thursday.
move into our off-season schedule. We're going to do 2 shows instead of 3.
And
We're going to
let
try
you
it
guys-
out.
Yeah, we'll let you guys know what we are going to decide before we do it. We'll throw a message
We'll
out
throw
there.
a post out there that you
Yeah.
won't see because Facebook never lets those things go anywhere. But we'll throw one out there. You won't see it, and then you'll probably just get the same notification you always do.
then
And we hope to catch
And then
you.
you'll probably message us being like, are you guys ever going to do a live show again? And we'll be like, dude, we did 3 in the last week.
But we appreciate you. It was fun. They were great games. Even though my team lost, I'm glad that they at least hung in it. I know the Green Bay game was not quite as exciting and didn't keep the same suspense. But even then, there was a moment I thought Aaron Rodgers might have come back. So it wasn't the worst thing in the world. Usually you get better championship games than we saw. But I'll say this. It was a lot of fun, and I hope these 2 teams live up to it in the Super Bowl.
Real quickly, without going into depth about it, just because there's not a lot of comment about it, but there's some. Are the timeouts worth doing before the 2-minute warning or worth doing after the 2-minute warning?
I think it's okay to do it before. It's all situational. It's okay. It's worth doing before.
That's all I got. Go Chiefs.
Go 49ers just to balancing out.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? All right, we'll see you guys later.
I would not be mad if either team wins, but the Chiefs.
You will be mad in the moment, and that'll be okay. You know what? That'll be okay. Just like I would be mad when the Titans don't win it.
I want you to know that's not true.
Oh, I want
If
you
this
all to
was
know.
the Patriots, I would be throwing things against the wall.
Okay. You gonna say your catchphrase when you get out of here? We'll see you guys later. Thursday,
See ya.
I think.
See ya.